is Janet, and I'm here for you, health coach. And I felt like making a cake. Today's a great day to make a cake. I'm going to make a recipe that's a fall cake, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to do it. I got this recipe from a Cooking Light years and years ago, and I literally was thinking about it the other night in my sleep. So here we go. I have some apples out. I have red apples that I peeled, and you can use any type of apple that you like. I like to use the red apple over the green in this recipe because it's a little bit juicier, and I want that added juice in the cake. So you're just going to peel them, and then I cut them down in little rows and then cut them into pieces. So it doesn't have to be teeny little pieces, but just small. And I have two fairly large apples here, and I want about 2 cups of apples. I kind of eyeball it when I cook, so you can do the same. And if you want to try it with the Granny Smith apples, which are traditional for baking in a cake or in pies, you can certainly use that. They're just a little drier, so just take that into mind. But they all have great flavors. This just tends to be the apple that I want to pick. And what I'm going to do is I have this bowl set up here that I'm putting these apples in. And then I'm going to add some cinnamon and a little bit of balsamic vinegar and a little bit of sugar. And then when I make the cake base, I let this sit and just sort of percolate and get yummy. The balsamic vinegar draws out the juices of the fruit. So it ends up creating a little sweetness to it. You don't really get the vinegar flavor, which isn't bad, but I really like to have, every time I make a cobbler or anything, I always put some balsamic vinegar in it. This is from a local oil maker in town called Alfonso Olive Oil and Balsamics. This is a coconut flavored white balsamic. I would tend to stay away from the darker balsamics because they're going to color the fruit, which I don't want. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of that in. I have about 2 tablespoons of pure cane sugar here. And then I'm going to put a big heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. And then just mix those together. And at the last minute when the cake batter is done, you just fold that into the cake. And then it's all going to flavor everything. I like to do this step ahead of time, as I said, because it just flavors the apples as it's sitting here as I'm getting my cake. So in my KitchenAid, I have 1 stick of grass-fed butter, and make sure you get the good butter. I have some pasture-raised eggs. The eggs on the pasture-raised eggs, or the shells, tend to be a little thicker. So I get a knife to open them up. I find that to be a little easier. So I'm going to do 2 eggs and the 1 stick of butter, and then blend those together till they get creamy. Then we're going to add the other ingredients. So bear with me for a minute while I make some noise. Oh, I don't have it. Plugging it in is always a good idea. Here we go. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to add the cup of sugar. I'm also going to get some vanilla. I just wanted that to get soft. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So what you want to look for is that the butter is creaming. It's not little pieces of butter, but that it's all kind of breaking apart. And I have all of my ingredients room temperature, so take them out a little while before you're going to bake. So that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to put in 2 cups of almond flour. So I'm making my recipe to be gluten-free. The original recipe was from a Cooking Light magazine, honestly probably in 1990. I used to make this recipe all the time. I'm going to put in about a half a teaspoon of some ginger. The ginger adds a nice brightness to it, which gives it a great flavor. So it's kind of all those yummy fall flavors. And I'm going to put in another teaspoon of cinnamon in here. And I have a teaspoon of baking soda. Put that in. And just a dash of salt. I use Himalayan sea salt for everything. And we're going to go ahead and blend that up. So that just so everything incorporates, you don't want to beat it to death. You just want to make it so it incorporates. Okay. So you can see everything's blended together. And then what I'm going to do from here is add the apples. I have a cheesecake pan that I have prepared with a piece of parchment paper, and I've sprayed it. So when you do that, when you're done and ready to take it out, it makes it really nice to take the cake out of the pan, and then it doesn't stick. If you want to put it on a plate, you don't have to worry about that bottom part of the cheesecake pan sticking to your cake. So parchment paper is your savior. It's really a great trick. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just fold that fruit in that's been sitting there for a minute. You can already see the juices from the sugars and the balsamic kind of blending in there. And then I'm just going to take this and mix it up. So it's heavy on the apples, but that's okay. All right. And now I'm going to just dump it into my prepared dish. I'm going to bake this at 350 degrees. It's going to take about 45 minutes. When it's baking, when you check on it, you can put a skewer inside to make sure that it's dry. The apples will soften up. Your house is going to smell like fall. So invite some friends over. This is actually a really good breakfast cake as well. You can do some cinnamon, sugar, and flour and put a topping on it with more butter and let that bake in as well, and that would be an awesome topping for it. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. Please subscribe below. Comment with any questions. If you want the actual printed recipe, let me know and I'll email that to you. Have a great day, and I hope you're enjoying these recipes. I'm Janet. I'm a functional medicine health coach, and I'd love to help you. If you need some help getting healthy, let me know. Thank you. Bye-bye.